In the mid-90s, there were a lot of the Nick Drake material was reissued. It had always been available, but it was repackaged and a new compilation came out. And the word of mouth thing around him really kind of spread like wildfire. And it served as an entry point for a lot of people who didn't know that actually music of a folky nature could sound so relevant to their lives.
Gonna see the riverman, gonna tell him all I can about the plan.
The singer-songwriter Nick Drake was always on the fringes of the 60s folk scene.
I think the fact that it failed at the time has helped it become successful now, because it's not part of the soundtrack of the 60s. It isn't like Sgt. Pepper. It doesn't have that association with that era. It sort of sits outside somewhere, and a new generation can make it their own because they didn't hear it coming from their parents' room when they were growing up.
Time has told me.
It's about rejecting a sort of orthodoxy of taste, particularly the notion of what Englishness in music consists of. So basically when people go, oh, it sounds like a very English record, it's just shorthand for sounding a bit like the Kings. And obviously that is very English, but there are whole other aspects of Englishness, the sort of pastoral side of it, that's completely forgotten.
Suddenly it opens up this really exciting world of folk music that isn't just like an old guy at a club singing unaccompanied, which can be a bit scary sometimes. And this is this whole alternative history of folk music.
Capitalising on this on-mind theme of pastoral English music, Pete Pafides is bringing this forgotten folk to a new generation with his club's swaddling songs, held in the bastion of the traditional folk movement, Cecil Sharp House.
I wish I had a window over
The coup de grace for these neo-folk collectors came when they dusted off one of the most obscure records of the 60s, and in doing so, transformed a delicate former flower child of Edinburgh into the godmother of the new folk revival.
and a warm log fire for when the summer is gone.
When I think about the 60s, the Vietnam War was raging, everything just seemed so crazed that the only thing that seemed possible to do was to make your life as small and unneedful as possible. And we decided we'd better have a house on wheels. And we happened to find one straight away with a horse that went with it. Walking up through Britain in 1968 and 1969 was quite an adventure. Throughout the journey I was writing songs without any thought to recording them. I really didn't think anything of them very much.
Just another diamond day, just a blade of grass, just another bale of hay.
It's not sort of trad folk back in the day, but over time you can look back at it and say that's a folk record, it's an acoustic record, and the songs have a traditional feel and they talk about traditional themes. I think a lot of people are taking it on to say, wow, this sounds really fresh.
The discovery of this pastoral British folk music from the 60s has encouraged today's songwriters to look to other icons from the revival for inspiration. Beth Orton went in search of her 60s guitar hero, Bert Jansch.
I just said to him, do you ever give guitar lessons? And he said, I have one condition. And I said, what's that? He said that you practice.
Drawing water from the well.
Bert gave me a copy of an Anne Briggs record, which is just her voice, and that's stunning. I mean, that's so beautiful.
My heart is filled with pain.
I think anything from the source is just so, it's just like a breath of fresh air, is a total relief right now.
You go your way, my love.
Bert played me this song, You Go Your Way, and showed me a couple of chords, and when I next came back I'd written a song kind of around that, using the chords and also the words "You Go Your Way," but it's a homage, honest. It's true that I have got a head full of voices saying the first thing.
Beth Orton's adaptation of You Go Your Way invokes the spirit of one of the most enigmatic voices of the first wave of the British folk revival. So no matter which route you take back through the annals of British folk, it seems you will eventually arrive at the same source.
And I'm not even mine to run to, and I am not really mine to cry to, and I am never quite here to speak of. You go your way, my love, you go your way. You go your way, my love, you go your way. When no one
Next Friday, Folk Britannia at the Barbican. Billy Bragg hosts an impressive cast of folk giants, including Martin Carthy and Dick Gaughan, at 9. But tonight, stay with us for an unflinching, colourful portrait of the toothless pogue who contributed to the folk revival. Shane McGowan, next.